Hi, I'm Clair Morrissey, and I've been teaching in the philosophy department at Oxy since 2010. I'm a practical, moral, and political philosopher, and I also teach classes on philosophy of art and aesthetics. I'm going to be teaching from my house in Altadena, about 15 minutes from drive from college, and I'm going to be here with my two giant 80-pound greyhounds who have learned to ring a bell when they want to go outside and to interrupt me at all of the worst times. This fall, I'll be teaching 3 different classes, 2 for the philosophy department and 1 CSP, that's a cultural studies program, as part of the Oxy immersive semester on the PPE portrait project. They're going to be small, capped at 16 students, and they're going to be highly discussion-based, right? So instead of doing kind of in-class discussion as we would in face-to-face, I'm going to be preparing a bunch of study materials for students to work through the arguments, right, kind of asynchronously on their own. And then every week we're going to come together in small group tutorials, no more than 4 students, to like really get into the discussion of the material. So it's a kind of flipped classroom approach. The big idea is it doesn't matter what the mode of communication is. It matters what we're doing with each other, right? And so the question is, like, how do I facilitate students really developing the critical analytical skills that are central to a philosophical education, right, and to liberal arts education broadly? And that has required some rethinking of how I do things, right? Because things were modeled for me in a really traditional way, and so I kind of took that model in my own practice and built on it and changed it. But now, in this new context, what I'm trying to do is really like start with that goal, right? Develop students' critical analytical philosophical abilities. Right, and then ask, how does this mode of communication help me to do that? Right? What are the kind of resources, what are the techniques that are kind of internal to this mode of communication rather than a kind of more traditional mode of communication that'll facilitate their learning those skills, right? And so what I've been coming up with so far, right, is a lot of small group interaction, a lot of what we call flipped classroom materials, right, where so I do a lot of work outside of class to provide students with materials to work through readings, to understand arguments, and then they come to me and to one another ready for discussion, having done a lot of stuff to prepare. That's what I'm thinking is really going to work this semester. What I would say to students is it's going to be okay. Don't worry. What's been the moments of joy that I've been able to find in this really rocky time have come from the excitement of solving new problems, right? There's a kind of rush you can get out of recognizing your own flexibility and your own kind of capacity and ability to grow, to do something new, to figure out something, right? And I would encourage everybody to lean into that, right? To really embrace the kind of joy and satisfaction and pleasure that can come out of like growing as a person through, right, learning how to solve and tackle new challenges. And I'm really looking forward to teaching my courses in the fall.